All right, hello, this is Mr. Weideman, and this is Functions Trig at Lafayette High School. And I'm going to finish up our example problems that we started in class today. This is the end of 5.3, and today we made these really cool gee whiz unit circles. And then we started, well, how do I use these unit circles? And you'll notice that all the problems that we're asking here, for instance, we did this one in class. All right, sine of 300. Okay, well, where is 300 degrees on my unit circle? Well, everything is going to be a multiple of 30 or 45. Now, I went ahead and on mine, I actually put the degrees as well as radians. But anyway, so here's 300 right here. Okay, well, if I want the sine, I need the angle. And the angle, we have to use this reference angle, which is pi over 3, or 60 degrees in fourth quadrant. And to get the sine, we need the opposite over adjacent, then, of this triangle formed by this terminal side of the angle 300. Can't do trig on the 300. I can do trig on this 60, or pi over 3. Opposite divided by a hypotenuse, root 3 over 2. And that's kind of how we end up doing all of these problems. You just got to find out where it is on the unit circle. Okay, so the next one, 5 pi over 4. Now this is the critical part right here. What is the reference angle for 5 pi over 4? And it's going to be pi over 4, or 45 degrees in quadrant 2. How did I figure that out? Well, it's at least on mine, okay, it's the pink triangles here. Where is 5 pi over 4? There's 5 pi over 4. It's one of my multiples of 45 degrees. There's the triangle that I'm going to do my trig on. There's my reference angle. There's my standard angle. Okay, I can't do trig on the standard angle because it's greater than 90. Okay, but I can do trig on pi over 4, or 45 degrees, written in quadrant 3. Okay, tangent is opposite divided by hypotenuse. This number divided by this number is simply going to give me just a positive 1. So that's my answer for this problem. What about the next? All right, secant pi over 6. There's two ways to do this. I'm going to do this a little bit different in class. What I'm going to do is secant is the inverse of cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so we're going to write this as hypotenuse over the adjacent. And let's see if that works a little bit better. But let's find out where this is. Okay, negative pi over 6. Okay, what is my reference angle? Okay, well, let's go my reference angle. Where's my pi over 6? Okay, that is the very first one we did, our blue guys here. Okay, and negative pi over 6, my reference angle is pi over 6, fourth quadrant. Here's the right triangle that I'm going to work with. They want the secant, which is the inverse of the cosine. So it is going to be hypotenuse divided by adjacent. Okay, so that's 1 divided by root 3 over 2. So this is going to be 1 divided by root 3 over 2. Which is just going to make this a reciprocal. It's going to make this 2 over root 3. And that's how I did it in class, is I said, okay, right here, I am going to go, this is 1 over the cosine of pi over 6, as it is drawn in quadrant 4. But I'm going to get the exact same answer. Right? I just like to work in terms of adjacent over a hypotenuse, rather than hypotenuse over adjacent. Okay, and then let's rationalize this denominator. And that is my final answer. Okay, let's move on to another example, example 8. Okay, now what's going on here? Well, what's going on here is 14 pi over 3 does not fit anywhere on my unit circle. As a matter of fact, unit circle goes from 0 to 2 pi, and this is much bigger than 2 pi. So the first step we have to do is we have to find what is coterminal. So what I did is I subtracted 2 pi from the angle. I went around the circle, okay, and it's still too big, so I went around the circle again, and okay, 2 pi over 3 is just right. Okay, so tangent of 14 pi over 3 is coterminal with 2 pi over 3. I'm still not done. I can't do trigonometry on an obtuse angle. So I need to find the reference angle. Okay, so let's find out where 2 pi over 3 is on our unit circle. Okay, 2 pi over 3 is right here. And we need the tangent of 2 pi over 3. So my reference angle is right here. This is what I do my trig on. This is the triangle right here. So this is going to be, I'm going to do the tangent of pi over 3, as it is written in quadrant 2. Okay? That means all these triangles that we have drawn, this is the one that I'm going to use. Okay, so tangent is opposite over adjacent. I'm going to go this guy divided by this guy. Guess what? We already did that. That's where these guys came from. Okay? And we kind of did that in class. So there is square root 3 divided by 1/2, and this is just going to be divided by negative 1/2. All right, so there's my answer of negative root 3. So all of this is then going to give me negative root 3. Okay? All right. Next one, what am I going to do here? It's all about finding out the coterminal angle on the unit circle. Okay, well that thing is negative. All right, doesn't fit on the unit circle. Backwards or forwards. So I need to add 2 pi. And I want a common denominator for 2 pi so I can add it to this guy. And how many times am I going to have to add it? Well, if I add it once, negative 17 plus 8, that's negative 9. That's not enough. If I add it twice, that's 16 pi over 4. It's negative pi over 4. Still too small. So I really need to add this 3 times. So when I end up doing this math, I'm going to have negative 17 pi over 4 plus 2 pi at 3 times. It's actually 6 pi. So that's going to be 24 pi over 4, 6 pi. And that is going to give me 7 pi over 4. Okay, if I look in my unit circle, then what it's really asking me to do is it's asking me to find the secant of pi over 4 in a triangle written in quadrant 4. Now, how do I know that? 7 pi over 4. Let's look at our unit circle. Okay, there's our pi over 4. Okay, mine's pink. There's 7 pi over 4. This is the triangle that I want to use. Okay, and this is the reference angle, pi over 4, written in quadrant 4. And they want us to find something ugly. They want us to find the secant, which is the inverse of cosine. So I want hypotenuse divided by adjacent. Okay? So hypotenuse 1 divided by adjacent, root 2 over 2. This, written as this, forces me to take a reciprocal. And then let us rationalize the denominators. Blah, blah, blah. 2, those guys cancel. Root 2 is my final answer. Okay, so that should be good enough to get you through your homework. And there's one more type of problem we need to discuss, and that is what happens when my angles are 90 degrees. In other words, I'm like here or here instead of here, here, or here. In other words, how do I do trig on, let's say, 180 degrees? And that is going to be on the next video because this one's getting too long. All right, that should be enough to get you going on your homework. Good luck.